Kia ora everyone, back in your ear holes with a basketball podcast. A couple of Kiwi basketball fans talking hoops on the ACC network. Apologies to fans of hula hoops, hoop earrings. This is just a basketball hoop related podcast. I'm Ben Boyce, back after missing last week due to rest and recovery. You know, I've got to sit out the back-to-backs with the playoffs just around the corner. And joining me this week, well, actually a few short in the starting lineup. A few injuries, a few suspensions, I think that we can't really talk about on air, but he's back with me again, Joel Harrison.
Still warm on the bench. People have got the call up to the starting five, but I'll still be warm on the bench regardless.
You're with me. I love it. We're back with a bang this week, but not the sort of bang that commentator Mike Breen loves. Now, I don't know if you hear this, but it's a pretty iconic moment when he says bang and gives a double bang in the commentary. It happened this week with Julius Randle.
To go. Randle on the drive, stripped by Butler. Randle gets it back. Randle puts up a three. Bang! Bang! Randle knocks down the three with 0.7 of a second remaining.
Epic, It's pretty epic. It's pretty incredible that you know, it's the double bang. I mean, not to lower the tone, but it's something that blokes can't normally do straight away. You know, you need a bit of
Keep
time
it above
in between.
board, mate. It's a family-friendly podcast.
Sorry.
Come on, Ben.
So, but the double banger from Julius Randle, the Nets. The Knicks. The Nets and the Knicks both looking good, but the Knicks in particular, what are they, 9-0 of the last few games, I think?
Yeah, and over the last few years, they've been like a pretty average team, but it feels like they have Randle, Brunson, RJ Barrett stepping up. Emmanuel Quickly, we were talking about before.
They traded for Josh Hart, who's mates with Brunson, right? So he's pretty pumped about it. I always call him a dog, about D-A-W-G.
Dog.
Yeah, dog. You know, like I'd love someone to call me. That's cool. You know, they like that, the hustler, the person that does all the work. I'd like to be called a dog like that, but no one ever calls me a dog. Do you think that people say that around the office about me or
I
not?
said D-O-G, I think it was.
He's a dog. Yeah, that's the dog you don't want to be called around the office. You want to be a dog with a D-A-W-G. But let's kick into the starting five because there's plenty for talk about.
This is the starting five for the Benchwarmers.
Y'all ready for this?
We're going to start with Ja Morant. Obviously, the Grizzlies point guard, star player Ja Morant. He's been suspended for at least 2 games, flashing a gun at a nightclub in an Instagram live video. He's apologised, says he'll take some time away. As a person who's used to flashing things in nightclubs, Joel Harrison, I'm coming to you because you're the only one with me. You're around about the same age as him, right?
Yeah.
In all seriousness,
Yeah,
pretty close.
I think you must be, yeah.
And you're not earning $39 million a year or something like that over 4 years, I think. But what advice would you give as a sort of fellow 22, 23-year-old person? Because obviously you're not, I mean, when you have a lot more money, the stakes are higher, but at the same time.
Also, you have the eyes of the whole basketball world watching you.
I don't know why I'm asking you for advice, but I thought I'd come to you. I'll give you a reason for you to talk about Ja Morant.
Probably not the best advice, but firstly, Ja Morant, he kind of killed my chances in the fantasy final, which we'll talk about later because of this.
He was your star player in your team, right?
He was my dog, but you don't really think about how young he is when he's doing all this stuff, but he's kind of trying to get himself out of the league, it seems like he was celebrating with these gun things, and he was in a club with like strippers and stuff. And
it's got so much to lose, eh?
Yeah.
And you got to be surrounded by, at the risk of sounding like an old man passing on advice. But I imagine in that situation, you need to be surrounded by, you know, people that support you and don't encourage you to do that because he's got so much to lose.
Yeah, and I also I don't think he's like not really someone that was brought up in the hood over in America. My friends are talking about the other day, like DeMar DeRozan and a few other players. They're like actually really all about it. They're like gangsters. But there's like a photo of Ja that I saw the other day that someone posted. He's like a family man. He wasn't surrounded by gun stuff growing up, so it's kind of weird. I don't know why he's doing this.
You actually brought it to the podcast a few weeks ago that there was some murmurings about things that had happened behind the scenes a while ago. There was rumours about him pulling out a gun at a pickup game or something like that, or punching some guy in the face, or alleged stuff that happened. And we were like, no, mate, stop being a hater. This is all fake news. You know, this is like get your tinfoil hat on and go to Parliament. But maybe there's some stuff going on.
Yeah, they call me crazy. You and Keezy laughed at me, but there was another one where apparently someone had pointed a gun at him while he was leaving an arena, and I was like, "This is a big scoop." And you guys like, "No, why would such a young, promising athlete be surrounding himself with guns?" But hey, I feel like he needs to grow up a little bit. And, learn.
He's an amazing player, and I'm sure he'll come back. I'm sure he'll be surrounded by the right people, and they'll put steps in place to kind of bring it up. And at the end of the day, it kind of seems a bit weird for us in New Zealand, but I guess guns are something part of the culture in America.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's gone out and done anything that he can't repair as far as getting back into the NBA. But obviously, a few warning signs are there, and maybe sometimes you do things to try and impress people. Think you're cool back in a young... I mean, I wore a Looney Tunes duvet that was made into pants, a waistcoat, and a bandana to a school ball. I mean, we've all done things we look back on and regret, trying to look cool.
You were saying you think it used to be cool wearing your cricket whites around town as well back in the day.
I did. So there you go. I am someone who has done embarrassing things on the way. So,
So I don't worry about it.
And I'm still doing embarrassing things, but it's all about trying to learn from these things. And I'm sure he'll be back in the NBA. I just hope that he's okay. But the thing about America, like I was just saying, you do. I remember going to a club in New York when I went over there on holiday with some friends, and you went through and there was metal detectors going through, and you're like, whoa, geez, this is people have got, it's part of their society over there.
Yeah, I was at the airport one time when I was coming out of Hawaii, and there's things, it's like no firearms in your carry-on luggage, or it'll be like a $400 fine or something. I was like, this is New Zealand, it'd be...
Yeah.
You'd go to jail probably, wouldn't you?
I know. Well, it's just so weird. Like, I went through the metal detector and I was like, take out what's in my pockets. I'm like, hand sanitizer and like chewing gum or something. I'm like, oh, how lame do I look going through here? But yeah.
I know. Yeah. And I was talking to you before, and Steven Adams, he's come out and he's sort of the big brother of the team, which you can tell there's like all these young up and coming, almost pushing on the edge of cocky, really good basketball players in the Grizzlies team. And then Steven Adams is like the composed guy who's been there for that long. And apparently he came out and had a player meeting with the team and said, we need to stop dicking around.
Well, he's probably a guy that would be good to surround Ja Morant with, his experience. He seems to have a good head on his shoulders. And he always seems to stick up for him in the games. He's kind of like the big brother.
Ja doesn't need a gun if he's with Steven Adams. He can fight with his fists.
He's like Jason Momoa, and he's like Aquaman, and So I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe this is the turning point for the season, because they have been playing really, really well, particularly at the start of the year. But now I think Brandon Clark's out. Adams has been injured. Dylan Brooks has been suspended as well. So a few players not there, and obviously Ja, so it might hurt their chances going into the playoffs.
Yeah, and their record is 12-20 away from home, and then it's like 27-5 or something at home. So clearly they're a threat at home, but if they have a bad losing record for playoffs, it's going to be hard for them to compete in the playoffs.
Grizzlies, of course, the mascot is a bear, so I'm thinking this week maybe it's a cocaine bear. Maybe that's what explaining it all. A lot of people talking about cocaine bear at the moment. Maybe that explains the party aspect of the Grizzlies, particularly when they're away from home. And just before we end on this, I thought it was a clever social media post. Ja Morant this week, I saw someone comment saying, turn from point guard to shooting guard, which was quite clever.
He always has been a good shooter, but yeah.
But not the sort of shooting that we want to see from Ja Morant. As I say, I really like him as a player. He's incredible, and I'm sure he'll bounce back and he'll be awesome.
Hopefully, because at the moment it says indefinite suspension. So hopefully he can get back and they can make a good push for the playoffs, because it'd be a disappointment to see such a good team just crumble like this at the end of the year.
Speaking of playoffs, the Breakers, closer to home, they won game 1 in Sydney. A shock win, I thought, was pretty much first up over the Kings, who were kind of slight favourites going into it. They won 95-87 over there. Xavier Cooks and Derek Walton Jr. had to sub out of the game late for the Kings. The Breakers were good. I mean, Will McDowell-White scored 19 points. I think Barry Brown Jr. got 19 as well. Joel, you missed out on the game. You were on a 3-day bender in Waiheke or something like that.
I was actually in Auckland. I watched shades of the game. I was flicking between that and the Blues rugby game as well. But yeah,
so it was awesome. It was awesome first up.
It was,
and it was great to see so many great Kiwis. They sent some messages. The Breakers social media, apart from one thing around Corey Webster, which was not great. It's been pretty good. You're doing some really cool stuff. And this week they got people like Chris Hipkins, Sir Richard Hadley, Graham Henry, Mike McRoberts to give advice. Chris Hipkins, I noticed he didn't say to go out and spread your legs, which is probably good advice actually if you're trying to take a blocking foul or something like that. But two things I noticed from a lot of the celebrity shout-outs this week was the way that people say, let's go. Now you had, I think Chris Hipkins at the end saying this.
Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go, like I would probably say it. And then you had Tony Street, of all people, saying,
let's go.
Now, at what stage? Like, I feel like if I say let's go, I'm killing it. Like, again, I'm not cool enough to say let's go. What is it? You're someone who's, young, in the 20s, but cool.
Yeah, because obviously they asked a lot of influential New Zealand people. What did yours sound like? When did they ask you?
Do you know what they did actually? They messaged me. And they messaged me, and Jono and I did a video.
Really?
And they were like, well, at this stage it hasn't. I mean, it's a long series, Joel. You know, there's still time. But every time I see a video pop up, I'm like, oh, here's our. Oh no. Oh, here's our. Oh, so you know, it probably shows where we are in the pecking order of things.
I got a great example here of one of the ACC's finest members, Jason Hoyt, saying, "Let's go."
Okay. Let's go.
That's how it's done. That's how. If you wanted to get on the video,
let's go. I feel like if I do that, it's like when dabbing was cool for a second, or planking, and then I started doing it. Jono started doing it, and they're like, "Oh, that's over. That's done." And the kids move on to something. If you want something to, like, don't worry about if the US wants TikTok to end, just get me and Jono on there, buddy, dancing. You know, that's the way to get people stop using it. Suddenly it becomes uncool. Did
you see that Xavier Cooks, the reason why he wasn't there is because he's been signed to the NBA?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. He's been picked up by the Wizards. He was, in game 2. So obviously game 2, he came back to Spuck Arena. But we lost the second game, the Breakers at home, which was a bit of a shame because, again, Xavier Cooks and Walton Jr. were hardly playing. So we really had a good opportunity at home. And it's 1-1 now, but you're right. Xavier Cooks, how cool is that, being picked up to go play in the NBA for the Wizards, I think, right?
I think it's only the 5th time in history that someone's gone from the NBL straight to the NBA as well, which is pretty cool. So, hopefully he does well, even though you love to hate Aussies, but you do love to love them as a Kiwi in situations like this.
And it's great for the league as well to, have the eyes on it from the NBA experts, and to have a player who's obviously the MVP of the league getting picked up to go, it bodes well for New Zealanders, for Kiwis, for Aussies trying to play in the league as well, and puts more eyes on the game. And also great for people with man buns. I mean, he's got a man bun. And how good is it to see, not too many man buns in the NBA?
That's one thing Jono couldn't kill, but that is very true. I feel like the man bun has been dead and buried for about 8 to 9 years now, but it's good to see someone with a man bun is thriving, He's
still got it. Game 3 on Friday, and then, of course, there will be a game 4. I bought some tickets, and mate and I are going along on the Sunday night, so there will be a game 4 back home, but what do you reckon now? Because things kind of, both teams winning away from home.
Yeah, well, because last week on the podcast when you were away, it was Keezy and Reevesy as well, and they I think Keezy said Kings in 3, and then Reevesy said Kings in 4. I said Breakers in 4 as being an optimist.
Okay. Yeah.
And I assume you would have said Breakers in 3 or 4 as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were pretty. After the first game, I was like, wow, Breakers could do this in 3. I'm still sticking with Breakers in 4. It's going to be a big game.
I'm trying to. I know that you like your Love Island. You always talk about that in the mornings. So I'm pitching a new reality show, Heartbreaker Island. Like Heartbreak Island, but with the Breakers.
Heartbreaker Island.
Yeah.
How will that work?
I don't know. I'm thinking a lot of hooking up. I don't know. I mean, a lot of them are family people, and they've got kids, and it's going to be messy, but we'll work through that. We'll work that into storyline. So Heartbreaker Island coming soon as well. Let's look at the NBA, because a lot of new players. We didn't talk about this the last couple of weeks. There's been a lot of new players jumping into their new squads. Have they made the teams better? I mean, the Bucks. I mean, Jay Crowder got there as well. But I mean, he's a great player. But really, they had like 16 games in a row they've won.
16 in a row, yeah. It feels like Jay Crowder. He's not the most amazing player on any team, but feels like every team he goes to, they sort of do well. I don't know if it's luck that he gets traded to good teams, but like he was great at the Suns when they were doing well.
Yeah.
He was playing for the Heat, I know, back in the day. He's a bit of a journeyman, but it's good on him for going to a good team.
Experienced player. Like this, actually, speaking of the Bucks, there was a young fan that swindled Giannis with a jersey swap. Have a listen.
Hey, take a look at this, Stephen A. This little girl got an autograph from Giannis, and then watch this. She's going to take off her Giannis jersey, and she's wearing a Sixers jersey.
It's a great play. So she went up to Giannis wearing a Bucks. She said, oh my God, Giannis got the autograph. As soon as she got the autograph, she took it off, and she was really a 76ers fan. But hey, she still had the jersey. So obviously she still likes Giannis.
Yeah, that's a good thing to do if you go to like a New Zealand Warriors game. If you like the other team as well, sometimes when they play the Titans, I have a Titans jersey on underneath just in case. That was a few years back now, but I used to do that just in case they start losing. You take it off. You don't want to be caught on camera doing that, though.
The Clippers, they won their first game yesterday since trading for Russell Westbrook, or getting him in the buyout market. Hasn't been that smooth sailing for them of late, but it's not been. Russell's actually been playing all right. Apart from the fact that other teams haven't been guarding him, which must be kind of psychologically quite weird.
I feel like he's more of a sixth man now, because I saw a stat saying that he had lost like 15 games in a row since starting. The last 15 games he had lost, which isn't the best stat to have next to your name. But good to see they got a win, and it was over Memphis as well, which is a big team.
The Mavs, do you think they've got better now? I mean, Kyrie, obviously, with Luka, I think they've both been scoring like 30, 40 points a game, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah, they both got 40 points each against the 76ers, which was a great side, a great team as well that they beat. So they look like they're starting to gel, but the rivalries between the Mavs and the Suns, it was getting heated. Did you see that game yesterday?
Yeah, Booker and Luka were having a go at each other at the end of the game, right?
Yeah, and then KD was having a go at someone in the crowd. He's like, you don't want this smoke. Like, you won't get up here and throw hands. It was like some old white guy sitting in the crowd.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then also KD blocked Kyrie as well. It was all go in that game.
KD, of course, playing for the Suns, which there's been a lot of talk around NBA Twitter and social media about how good he is at just fitting in with the team.
Yeah,
like he's pretty incredible. Like he just slots in there and scores heaps of points. Looks amazing.
Yeah, it's good to see. And without a doubt, the Suns are going to be a threat now. They were already probably a bit of a threat, but they're going to be a very good title contender threat this year.
And of course, the Lakers, my team, I mention them just quickly because I love mentioning them, but LeBron out for hurting my fantasy team, hurting my team's chances as well. He's on one of those scooter things that you wheel around with his foot up on a scooter.
I saw a great pun, Scooter Braun rather than Scooter Braun, the famous LA agent. Scooter Braun. That was definitely one of the best work from the NBA social team this year.
That is really good, Scooter Braun. I like that. Damn it, there's a pun I didn't come up with. So a big injury for the Lakers as well. But, I think when they got their team together, they're pretty good. But they just kind of hang in there. They're just kind of around about that 10th spot. So I don't know. How will LeBron be back? It's 2-3 weeks maybe.
He should probably just retire now. I'm looking at the table here, and they're 31 and 34, and then in the 9th spot, Pelicans are 31 and 33. So they're in and around that play-in spot. So I reckon they'll be there. Hopefully for their sake, they're in there for that play-in game.
Now, Joe Mazzulla, he's the Celtics coach. He's taken over this year. Celtics has been incredible. I've got a question for you, just actually unrelated to this, this podcast. Will you be around the whole season?
I'll be there.
You're going to be here?
I've been here every...
I just want to make sure
I'm the Mikal Bridges of this team. I've been here every single game this year.
And then you get shipped off somewhere else and play amazingly.
Start doing good.
No, okay, so you're going to be around. That's your loyalty. Well, have a listen to Joe Mazzulla's loyalty.
5 years ago, then Celtics president Danny Ainge flew Joe Mazzulla to Boston to offer him an assistant coaching job. Mazzulla was 29. He had just finished his first season as the head coach at Fairmont State, a Division II school in West Virginia. And Mazzulla felt torn about accepting the offer because he had just told the high school recruit that he would indeed be there on campus in the fall to coach him. If he committed to Fairmont State, he turned the Celtics job down. And before he left Danny Ainge's office, Ainge reminded him, this opportunity may not be there for you.
Yeah, so he turned it down. Apparently cried the whole way on the plane home. Joe Mazzulla was like, oh my God, I turned this down, my shot at the NBA, because I said to a high school kid that I'd be there next season, and then Danny Ainge went the opposite of what many people would do. Is like, I like that guy's loyalty. That guy shows he's loyal. I'm gonna go offer him a job in the future. So that's why I asked you the question. I said you were loyal, but now I'm like, okay, you just said you were loyal, but then I'm coming at say tomorrow. Bill Simmons from the Ringer.
I'm there.
He's hey, I didn't got to the offer yet. Okay, so yeah, the Bill Simmons theory is like, here's your chance. Come step away from this little Benchwarmers podcast. Come to the Ringer. You're there. Is that your?
I think you could ask anyone who's been on the Benchwarmers. They'd probably be there. Gone in a heartbeat. Not me though.
I just gave you the
I'm
laws.
here.
I gave you the Joe Mazzulla situation.
I'm not leaving. You know me.
No, but then I just said, well, the Ringer's coming to you, and you're like, I'm there.
Oh, you can talk to my agent about this.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's pretty good. That's amazing from Joe Mazzulla. That's amazing loyalty.
Yeah, I thought that too. I mean, it is incredible, but I would have thought at the same time, surely he could have gone back to that kid and gone, hey man, I'm so sorry I've been offered this opportunity. It's once in a lifetime. You understand, right? And if I'm that kid, I don't understand. But it's pretty cool that he did, and then he got the job out of it because he showed so much loyalty.
That kid, LeBron James.
I
wonder where that kid is now. It's like, yeah, that kid actually dropped out, didn't make it.
Yeah. But that's pretty incredible. They're obviously the Celtics, one of the top teams in the league as well. Actually saw this for the final starting five this week. Saw this on Sports Centre the other day. The best duo in the league when fully fit. I just want to throw this at you, Joel. So you got Kate. This is from each team, obviously. Katie and Ooopppssss. You got Kyrie and my name is Luka, which you won't get this on, but you've obviously got Kyrie and Luka. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Day-to-day Davis and LeBron James, Embiid and James Harden, or another duo from another team. Like, who would you say? Who you got to take two? They're playing for your life. They're playing for your 3-day bender in the weekend. You're like, you can't go unless they win. Who are you taking?
That's a great question.
Yeah, I thought so too, because I'm struggling as well. Looking at those, you're like, they're all, if they're fully fit, obviously.
Yeah. If you go off just pure chemistry and just record thus far, you'd probably be hard to go against the likes of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
Jason Statham, as I keep calling Jason Statham.
Jason Status and Jaylen Brown, who's also, he's wearing like a very scary Batman or the face covering at the moment.
Oh yeah, he's got
It's like it's like a full Freddy and Jason Krueger killer one. But yeah, I'd probably have to go with those two. But then the potential of the likes of Devin Booker and KD, and then Luka and Kyrie, obviously those are probably still yet to build up a little bit. But also, I guess you can't get past Steph and Klay Thompson.
Oh, yeah, true.
A little bit washed up now.
You're
Not washed up, sorry, but a little bit older. But yeah, who would you go with?
Well, yeah, you've probably gone through a lot of the options I thought of. I mean, obviously, Lakers, I'd have to say, when fit, when Davis is playing like he's, like he is an MVP of the league, and LeBron is, they're pretty incredible. But yeah, maybe the potential of KD and Booker.
Yeah. Could also even go Giannis and Drew Holiday on recent form. They've been awesome.
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell, Darius Garland.
Jeez, some good players in there. I don't think everyone's going Joel and Ben on the Benchwarmers podcast. I mean, they're probably the worst duo in basketball right now.
That is
us.
True.
But yeah, okay, we'll lock those in. Let's head across to fantasy.
Hey there. What's your fantasy?
Sorry, fantasy basketball? Yeah. Basketball.
All right, we'll get into fantasy this week. Now, your own fantasy competition, the Points League, the much criticised Points League, which is the entry level of all fantasy competitions. But anyway, it's nice to have you there with your little competition. It's wrapped up this week because the big boys are now taking over. The dogs are now taking over. But you got to the final. You had a pretty good season. But
what a roller coaster of a season! Well, this is a big boy league. I'm telling you for free. Although there was nothing riding on it, which I now regret. But I told everyone last week that it was a big quarterfinal. We got won by like 2 points. Semi-final won by 1 point. Crazy scenes. And then I got killed by about 300 points in the final. But
so you lost the final, but you got to the final.
I lost the final, but
Braggy
Braggy
Mick Roberts, buddy. I know. Mike Roberts' son.
Mike Roberts Jr. took me out. But he's the league manager as well. And I reckon he finished it early, which is a great thing because it was 16 weeks and then playoffs as well. And it's easy to maintain.
Well, yeah, you're probably right. The competition I'm in at the moment, I'm middling. I think I'm 9 wins, 9 losses, and 1 tie. So I'm pretty much on that 50-50. I'm scraping into the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of at the stage now where I feel like I haven't got the best squad. And I'm not going to probably take it out. I mean, I know anything can happen. And I've got LeBron in my team, no surprises there. And he's injured for how many weeks? So you kind of feel like maybe things could be wrapping up at the moment. But actually, speaking of LeBron, did you see his unusual social media during the week? He said he woke up from a dream. MJ and him were shooting this shit back and forward in the men's championship game between North Carolina and Duke. Great vibes, classic game, 94 all, 5 seconds remaining, and he woke up needing to have a pee. So he doesn't know how the game ended.
He's kind of wild. He's kind of going wild. He's going old man wild on social media at the moment. Even when he was injured,
eating too much cheese before bed with a wild dream.
I know. I think is LeBron right?
I don't actually know.
Maybe Guy Williams when he came out and said he was LeBron.
That was slander about LeBron. He was like, can he be so good at 38? What could he do? And I'm like, mate, because he spends $1 million on his body.
That is true.
And he's in tremendous shape. But he's hurting my fantasy league. But in our own Benchwarmers League, the team that no one cares about, the little team that could or couldn't because we never really check it. Steph Curry's been out for us. He's our star player. He's back now as of this week. But how are we going?
You're probably talking to the wrong guy here. Producer Adam, who's away today, he normally is all around this. But I think we were coming third and the playoffs are on the way. So maybe because now my Elite Hundies series Real Good Fantasy is finished.
You can take over.
I could take over. I just need to find the login and we can sort it out a little bit.
It's not on the team.
It's weird. Yahoo's a weird one.
It's not on the one I normally use. I feel like a boomer complaining about the.
I know. I can't even find the league. I can't even find the ladder. I feel like a boomer on there as well.
And don't get me started on the rugby league one that Keezy signed us all up for. I'm like, jeez. I mean, I don't have enough hours in the day to try and get my head around that. But
I know.
That's a whole nother level of confusion as far as the fantasy leagues go.
Yeah, I feel like fantasy, it's only something I've really come into in the last few years, but it's such a good way to support whilst also feeling a little bit involved. And then it's good because normally, well, especially for rugby league, I only support the Warriors really, but it's good to have involvement in the rest of the league and stuff. And for basketball as well, you feel like you're all across it.
You learn a lot more about the other players, the other teams, right? Yeah, you do.
And it's also incredible marketing for both the leagues as well. So whoever invented fantasy, very smart player.
All right, let's have a look at the stats before we head on to the alley-oops.
So there's a couple stats in the stat bunker this week as well. The one that I found most amazing is Mikal Bridges, who we've talked a bit about so far on this podcast, and he's playing so good. He's playing out of his skin. He's normally like Mr. Consistent, and when he was at the Suns, I believe he scored 2 30-point games.
Yeah, something like that. Only a couple, right?
Yeah. Was it? I can't. This is a bad stat for me, but it was either 30-point games or 40-point games. We'll go with one, but we'll say not a very good stat. It's one of the two. Just remember that. But he only scored 2 in like 350 games at the Suns, and now he's come over and played 10 games of the Nets. He scored 4 already.
He's been incredible, actually. I've got a stat for you because I know how you like your stats, so I'll throw some at you this week as well. Tyrese Halliburton, playing really well. But think how incredible he's been playing, and then he's only 5 years old. He's only 5 years old.
It took me a while to get this, but
yeah, he was born on a leap year in 2000. So technically he's only ever had 5 actual birthdays in his life.
It's also quite depressing that Tyrese Halliburton is born the same year as me. I used to be the young guy doing stuff. Now I'm falling into. I'm sure you feel the pain.
I'm with your pain right now, mate. Yeah, I'll be on like a LeBron scooter at some stage, hobbling around the office.
Scooter band.
So Jokic as well. His 25th triple-double of the season. He is incredible. MVP probably locked up as well, right? You'd say at this stage. And speaking of triple-doubles, this week, Giannis. So he was 1 rebound off a triple-double. He had the ball right at the end. And then he did a quite unusual thing. He sort of just threw it up to the backboard and got it back as some sort of rebound. Have a listen.
It's running out of time. Kisberg off the mark. Another rebound there to Giannis. He's going to finish 1 rebound shy of a triple-double. And that'll do it. Oh, he got it. Does that count? It's got it, right? Shot attempt.
Ricky Davis style.
So they said it counted, but now you've just got some late mail Woj bomb or a Harrison bomb.
A bit of an interesting sound effect there. But we just got a Woj bomb coming from our good friends at the NBA on Instagram about 20 minutes ago, Southern Pacific time. And apparently it doesn't count. It's so cheeky, but I feel like if anyone else did it, everyone would be giving him so much shit. But Giannis he's just so cheeky.
Yeah, he kind of gets away with it, right?
I know, people were just laughing, but it's pretty smart. He was on 8 rebounds, got a rebound, and then look, the clock is still running. I don't get this no sportsmanship stuff.
So if he had actually made it look like more of a genuine attempt, like if he'd hit the because you've seen Luka, like he's actually purposely hit the rim before, right? And a free throw at the end of the game when time on the clock and it's gone straight back to him. So he hasn't been trying to actually get a shot then.
Yeah, that's true.
But this one wasn't a genuine attempt.
Riddle me this one. Imagine if like you were doing a fantasy game and you lost by 1 rebound and the rebound was in Giannis. Would that be overturned today?
It probably would, actually. You're right.
That would be very funny if you bet your mate or something in fantasy and you're parading around and then they got back on countback just because of that one.
All right, let's head to the alley-oops.
It's the big alley. Ooh, it's not the one eight.
So Jason Tatum brings his son along to many games. He's kind of like a little superstar on the sidelines there, and he's always high-fiving the players. And during the All-Star weekend, he was high-fiving players, particularly people like Donovan Mitchell. But when Donovan Mitchell was coming to play, when he's in his Cavs uniform and he's playing against the Celtics, well then little Tatum, he doesn't want to high-five.
Oh no. Deuce said, Donovan, you're on the opposing team tonight, man. I'm not giving you anything.
Wrong jersey.
Nothing more humiliating than being rejected with a high five. It's happened to me many times before.
He sounds like a bit of a young dog as well.
Do you remember when who was
Fat Man Scoop?
Fat Man Scoop came in, and he's had his Clippers jersey on. He's cool, and he's one of the people that hypes up not just people in concerts, but also at the Clippers games and stuff as well. And I met him, and I should have read that he was cool, and I went for the white guy straight up the middle handshake, and he came in at the side, and I made a really cool guy uncool just for a second there. So, I'm like, and he's like, I'm sorry, I should have picked up on your whiteness. I'm like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't even, so.
Ever since then, high-fiving wasn't cool.
Yeah, I've killed high-fiving as well. Yeah, right. Now, Charles Barkley, this is from a couple of weeks back. Obviously, the Lakers traded for Rui Hachimura, and Charles had a bit of a mare when pronouncing his name.
Great trade. Great trade. Getting Rui Hachimura. Hoochie Mama. That's a great trade, Rob Pelinka.
It is funny, but it's like, is this not a cancelable offense in the year? I'm not saying it should be a cancelable offense.
No, you're right. Everyone wants to make an attempt, and everyone should make an attempt at pronouncing everyone's name. Give it a genuine attempt. I mean, so maybe we'll move on from that one pretty quickly. But but those guys do some very funny stuff. Him and Shaq. But maybe on this occasion. As you say, you want to give it people at least the respect of their last names and try and pronounce it correctly, right?
Yeah, Hachimura, sounds like a fun guy as well. So I'm not sure if he's heard this, what he thinks of it, but it is an interesting one.
And finally, this week, this one was from Kevin Herder from a little moment from the Kings game, and I need you to explain this one to me as a sort of guy who's maybe slightly out of touch.
Oh, Herder put them on a flight like an IG model. Kevin Herder with a fake of all fakes.
So putting them on a flight, so you put them on a flight like an IG model. Is that, so an Instagram model, is that because Instagram models get taken on free...
That's what I thought. Maybe
free plane trips and stuff?
It must be. I'll look it up on Google right now. What does putting on a flight like an Instagram model mean?
So he kind of went up for the shot. He kind of did a little spin, and two players sort of got faked out by that.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. It just says... I don't know. It must be something because they always go on flights or something.
Yeah.
You want to put them on a flight. You want them to be on the same plane as you. I'm not sure. It's a kind of an interesting reference. The other commentator found it funny though.
Oh yeah, I did. I found it funny as well, but I'm still like, I'm not sure. You all know those situations when you laugh and then later you're like, I don't get that. But that was one of those moments.
I was watching on a game that wasn't on ESPN. It was on the NBA League Pass the other day. And it's just so good how biased the commentators are. I guess it's similar to like an ACC commentary as well. But the home team commentators, if you watch like the Oklahoma City Thunder, they're so passionate and so biased towards their own team, which is great.
They do, and particularly even we've talked about that before when the players get announced, right?
Yeah,
it's like a big hype, and there's things, big sheets get dropped down, and all these things. The lights go off, there's dances, and then the other team is like, who? Steph Curry. So, like they couldn't be more uninterested. You think that they would probably have to at least give something to the other team, but I guess that's part of the hype.
Yeah, maybe the games that are like ESPN and TNT, they're more mutual because it's going out to a wider audience, but those niche ones like the Charlotte Hornets especially, they're like, their commentators are crazy for them as well. It's great to see.
Michael Jordan, obviously one of the owners of the Charlotte Hornets as well. You see him sitting sideline quite a lot at the games as well. I just saw him actually the other day. There was people on a boat tour of Florida and they went past his house.
Yeah.
He was sitting outside. How cool is that?
That's cool.
And they're like, when you go past Michael Jordan, you get a bit of a wave. Look like the house looks similar to when The Last Dance, like when he was sitting there doing interviews and stuff like that. I was like, this is cool.
There was a time I was at a hotel over summer and I was certain I saw Michael Jordan. It must have been a direct doppelganger.
Right.
And then I was like, there's no way he'd be in this.
Was this in America?
Yes.
Like in Hawaii?
Yeah. I was like, but there's just no way he'd be in this shitty hotel. but I was like, for a second, I was looking up his family members because I really thought it was a doppelganger or was actually Michael Jordan. But
wow. I saw James Harden, and no one ever believes me that I saw James Harden, but he was wearing Rockets, and it was in Spain. It was James Harden. We had a moment. He was wearing a Rockets t-shirt. He was playing for the Rockets at the time, wearing scuffs, sort of slides. And I said, hey, bro. And he said, hey, man. And I was like, oh, my God, that's James Harden. And no one believed me.
Photos or it didn't happen?
I didn't have a phone because I was doing interviews, and I went in. And I saw they actually were about to interview Zendaya, who's a great actor. And went in and I was like, hey, you're from America. I just saw James Harden. Do you like basketball? And she's like, oh, I like the Golden State Warriors. I was like, oh.
Bandwagon.
But it's still James Harden. Who knows? He could be playing for it. Yeah, but she wasn't quite as impressed as I was.
Yeah, that is, if you did actually see him, if you're not lying about this, that is
I
very
text Guy
cool.
Williams, my mate, and I was like, hey, Guy, because I knew he's a big basketball fan, but then I didn't realize the time zone. It was like 3 he's like, man, it's 3 a.m. Why are you texting me this?
It's like, you're in Auckland, Ben. What are you talking about?
Yeah. All right, well, that is the Benchwarmers for another week. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back again. Who knows what squad we'll be having next week. But enjoy the basketball and go the Breakers.